The Mullvad Browser. I guess why not? This is an open source, rebranded Firefox, and Firefox-like browsers could use some publicity. It promotes privacy and privacy can use some publicity too. Tor 2. Mullvad seems to be honest in the fact that their business model is selling VPNs, and it's nice they are saying it's not enough. They are not saying that you might not need one though. We need a Firefox with good defaults, and it seems like this browser is such a thing. I prefer these privacy features to be an upstream Firefox, but I guess world is not perfect, and that Firefox still relies on revenues from Google, so can't be as privacy focused as it should. My little concern I guess is that this browser will push for their service, so it's a bit like an ad for them, at least with its name. But fair enough. And at least the business model seems healthy. With Mullvad already being a Mozilla partner for their branded VPN, all this actually looked good. They seem to be spending their money on worthy stuff.
I quite like Mullvad. I haven't needed to use them much, mostly when my ISP has wonky routing and I need something semi-urgent. But their service is pretty good. Their website feels like it's designed for the more techie users. Their billing is the least sketchiest of VPN providers, with no ticking clocks, no upsell and other nonsense. I also like they provide a WireGuard file and a way to filter it, so it's super easy to get started.
I share a VPN subscription with my father. I use it for torrenting so my ISP can't snoop on me. And he uses it to bypass geo-blocking to watch UK shows, things like BritBox, Netflix, BBC, etc., in another country. Unfortunately, there is no way to legally pay for most of these services and watch them from abroad. I tried to get us to use Mullvad, as it was perfect for me. But for him, it was constant problems with the services he used, whereas the sketchier providers like NordVPN and Express always worked without issues.
Problems with services are to be expected when using Mullvad. Their IPs are all recognized as originating from data centers. You might be lucky, but often not. Sketchier VPN providers use home IPs and rotate them regularly in order to defeat Netflix or other services blocking them.
Why are the sketchy VPN providers capable of that, but not Mullvad?
Sketchier providers often use dubious methods to acquire their exit nodes. Often they pay someone to include their code in a free software or browser extension, or malware, that allows them to route traffic through the host. Oxy Labs is one of the larger examples whose record is somewhat dubious.
It annoys me that the only way to access iPlayer from abroad is via a VPN. Surely opening it up and allowing international customers to pay some form of license fee could be a nice little revenue stream for the BBC. I'm guessing the reason is just licensing issues. But if they're making the programs, then what's the problem? I'm sure there's an international market for watching the world-class output from the BBC.
A few years ago, I moved outside the UK and spent the best part of 3 months on and off, trying to access BBC content, legally, still holding residency, paying domiciliary and employment taxes, and paying for a bloody TV license. Of course, I wanted to do this for as close to free as possible, since plugging an aerial into a TV at home also cost next to nothing. VPNs were already being detected and banned. I tried at least 4 extensively, including TCP, UDP, SOCKS, WG, obfuscated servers, etc. to no avail. Dodgy residential mobile proxies were too unreliable for live 720p/3u streams, not to mention expensive. I went through a few cheap Linux VPSs with UK IP addresses, forwarding their web streams to my TV outside the UK, until I found one that seemed to work well. So much so I even invested in some fancy routing through intermediary countries for almost jitter-free stability. Until a few weeks later, back to the same old shite. Everything 403, unauthorized. After yet a few more weeks of furious head-scratching shame over the stable now vanished CBeebies and Britham's daily consumption, I concluded and confirmed the BBC had just started detecting and banning data center IPs more aggressively. It was at this ebb I discovered the wonderful world of illegal IPTV streams and adopted a fuck you too, BBC attitude.
I used a small independent proxy company that I paid £50 a year annually through PayPal. I think they must have been small enough to fly under the radar of the detection algorithms. When I went onto Google Maps connected to the proxy, it always thought I was in Dubai, which gives you an idea of the clientele. Maybe it was something to do with the fact that it was a proxy and not a VPN. though I'm not sure if this makes it any less detectable. I even had a Firefox extension that automatically turned on the proxy when opening ePlayer tabs. It worked very well, though I wish I could have paid the license fee and just got access.
It's nice they are saying it's not enough. Mullvad, who has a reputation in the HN comments for being just like over-the-top amazing plus great. They swear up and down they don't store traffic logs, and if you don't trust them, you can pay anonymously somehow or whatever, is having a hard time being profitable, growing. All while Norton, who has a bad reputation in HN comments for being untrustworthy and not so anonymous, seems more well-known, and therefore most likely has more paying customers and makes more money. What is that law called in business, when the less good offering wins?
So it is a fork of Mozilla Firefox with privacy-friendly settings by default, some script blocking, and DNS lookups done via Mullvad's encrypted DNS service. Sounds okay to me. I have a longish and probably out-of-date list of settings that I like to chance in a new instance of Firefox. I trust Mullvad to not log DNS more than I trust my ISP, and I live in the UK, so unencrypted DNS here is being logged and stored by order of the government. Keeping a fork of Firefox in sync with mainline Firefox to get security fixes is a load of work. It is good that somebody is doing it. In this case, I think the Tor project is doing a lot of the work.
AFIK, it's a fork of the Tor browser, which is a fork of Firefox, but instead of connecting to the Tor network, you connect to a VPN. So you get all the in-browser tracking protection Firefox has, e.g. against fingerprinting, plus the ones only the Tor browser has, but without the drawbacks of the Tor network, and in turn without onion security.
Does the Tor browser fork stay up to date quickly? I would be quite worried about stale browsers in this day and age, to an extent at least.
That seems like a mistake. If I'm reading the docs right, the Mullvad browser will let you browse the web without using their any VPN, which means that it's entirely possible to accidentally surf to a site without having your VPN up, and reveal your IP address to that site. To contrast, there's no way to use the Tor browser without using the Onion network, so it's impossible to accidentally browse to site and reveal your IP address, and not just the IP address of the exit node. OPSEC is hard, and tools letting you shoot yourself in the foot doesn't help. There are plenty of other browsers out there that don't offer VPN integration, so, emo, they should have made the browser a paid feature for customers, instead of giving it away for free, like the market has demanded since IE6.
They advertise their VPN as having a working split tunnel feature. That is also false, at least on Windows.
Citation.
Me. It leaks.
Can you provide a few examples? Has this been reported to Mullvad?
Here's to hoping they maintain this for a while. There are a lot of hardened Firefox forks around. None of them that I would trust to follow upstream for a long enough time to switch. I already trust Mullvad enough to use as VPN, and am likely willing to extend that trust to a fork of Firefox they manage. But truthfully, I always concerned when achieving goals means new ventures and projects, as it may mean resources are moving to other areas and may impact their code product. I like my core providers to do one thing and do it well. Edit. I hope they bring this to Android also.
Firefox runs like cold molasses on Android, unfortunately. Bromite seems like it's sticking around, fortunately.
I wonder how many VPN providers are going to turn out to be honeypots in the long run. Every time they make it easier, I get more suspicious about the privacy really being provided. Perhaps I'm just really distrustful and cynical.
I'm disappointed to see that it doesn't integrate with Mullvad VPN at all. I have Mullvad VPN, but I use it too less because I don't want all traffic on my Mac going via VPN, e.g. all kinds of random IDEs and websites. All I want is one browser which always uses VPN. But Mullvad has no split tunneling on Mac as far as I know. And on Windows also, you can only block some apps from VPN, instead of saying that only this application will use VPN. This is one feature I really miss from Pia.
The last time I tried the Tor browser, it did not sufficiently handle browser fingerprints. I don't have high expectations out of this project either, but at least they offer a Firefox extension. I'd have to dig into it to determine how effective it is, but as it stands, there are other Firefox extensions that already do an excellent job.
The last time I tried the Tor browser, it did not sufficiently handle browser fingerprints. Can you expound on this?
I like Mullvad, but it can actually be challenging to purchase a subscription in the US. Most prepaid cards block the purchase. Sure, you can use it with a fully tracked card, etc., but that's not really the target audience.
The question not answered. Won't I stick out like a sore thumb if only 1 in 10,000 people uses this browser?
Stick out to who? Just set the user agent to a default Firefox one, assuming it's not already set, and you're golden.
Why not sprinkle it with something like Graseek? Now that would be a secure browser, and would really upset a lot of shady people.
The account number is the only thing you need to connect to Mullvad VPN. We ask for no email, no phone number, no personal information whatsoever. Yeah, also they get my bank card info. I become easily trackable if need arises.